Good morning and good evening, everyone. We will get started in a few minutes, just about 3 minutes.
Kate, how many do we have now with us?
Okay, we're live now. So we have 162 participants. Thanks, Mai.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the online launch of the Initiative Philippines. I am Mike Kiray, the Assistant Division Chief of the Commission on Population and Development, and I am so looking forward to the launch of this hub here in our country as we begin our advocacy for our Filipino adolescents.
Hello, Mai. Being part of the health sector for the longest time, I'm privileged to join this movement of business unusual for our cities in addressing the increasing rates of teen pregnancy. We would like to greet good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our participants. We have as far as the United States of America joining us in this launch. I am Raymond Maso, the Deputy Chief of Party from the Challenge Initiative of the Swillig Family Foundation.
All right. So at this point, ladies and gentlemen, we would like you to remind all of you to choose a location and use your earphones. And to ensure the smooth flow of our launch, we are showing on your screen what you can do to check your internet connection. And your cameras and microphones will be disabled throughout this launch. And you can type in your comments, and we are encouraging all of you to please post your questions here in our chat box, and we will answer them as we go along. Raymond?
Just a friendly reminder that make use of the chat box for comments and then the Q&A part for the question and answer. Mai, I think for today's event, we would also be using a hashtag. So for everybody who would be joining and sharing the post, we will be using the hashtag TCI, Hub, PH launch, and hashtag CFF for adolescent health, hashtag PopCom adopts TCI, and hashtag partnership for PopDev. We are posting it in the chat so that you can easily share the hashtags.
Yes, we're also live on Facebook, and you can also catch us on Twitter. So please reshare our Twitter accounts as we are tweeting live here as we do this PH launch of the challenge initiative. And at this point, we'd like to acknowledge everyone here. Thank you for joining us today. We'd like to acknowledge today's panelists who are joining us today. We have the president of the Swilig Family Foundation and chairperson, Ernesto Garilao. We have Clea Finkel from BMGF. We have the director of the Gates Institute, Jose Rimon II, the executive director of the Swilig Family Foundation, Austir Panadero. We have the Executive Director of the Commission on Population and Development, Yusek Juan Antonio Perez III. We have from the Department of Health, Undersecretary Mirna Cabotaje. We are also privileged to have with us from the local government, from Cagayan de Oro City, Honorable Mayor Oscar Moreno, from Puerto Princesa City, Honorable Mayor Lucilo Bayron, and from Dipolog City, Honorable Daryl Dexter Uy. Also, we are also honored to have with us the trustee of the Swillig Family Foundation, Daniel Swillig, and the executive director of the Challenge Initiative, Mr. Kojo Loco. And please stay on for the members of our media up until the end of our program, as we will be having a virtual presser right after this formal program. So the program is flashed on screen. Don't forget to use our hashtag, and please, we encourage you to share it on Facebook, on Twitter, so that we can trend for this PH launch in the Philippines. Partner Raymond?
Yes, Mai, we would like also to acknowledge the government agencies who are present here today, the members of the POPCOM board, our friends from the private sector and non-government organizations. Thank you, Mai. I hope everyone is safe and healthy. To officially start our program, please help me welcome the CFF Chair and President, Mr. Ernesto Garilao, to give his welcome remarks. Mr. Garilao has been a leader in the development sector for most of his life. His mission is to reduce health inequities to improve health outcomes of the poor. Over to you, Mr. Garilao.
Thank you. Thank you, Raymond. Good morning to all. On behalf of the Zwillig Family Foundation, its Board of Trustees and management and staff, I welcome you all to the online launch of the Challenge Initiative in the Philippines. We welcome our partners from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the Gates Institute, the Department of Health, the Commission on Population and Development, the city mayors of Puerto Princesa, Cagayan de Oro, and Dipolog and their teams, our civil society partners and reproductive health advocates, and other cities and key networks present in today's launch. Thank you very much for taking time to be here. Let me first recognize the role of Oying Rimon of Gates Institute in making this launch possible. In 2016, a Gates Foundation team, including Oying, visited Manila to explore the possibility of having local philanthropists pool their resources to be matched by Gate Foundation to create a Philippine fund that will address areas of mutual interest in health and development. He had discussions with our then chairman, Roberto Romulo, and trustee Daniel Zwillig, as well as other prominent philanthropists. While there was interest, there were issues that could not be immediately resolved. But Oying kept the interest going. He invited us to the TCI-sponsored global meetings in Myanmar and Vietnam, and in Rwanda, where our trustee, David Zwillig, was a presenter during the International Conference on Family Planning. Oying arranged a meeting for him to meet Chris Elias, president of the Gates Foundation Global Development Division, to continue exploring possible collaborative work in the Philippines. That meeting set into motion a series of actions, which included the assent of then POPCOM Chair and NEDA Secretary Ernie Pernia for POPCOM to join the TCI Philippine Hub, ultimately leading to this launch. Thank you, Oying. This partnership seeks to reduce teenage pregnancies in the Philippines, and it builds on four strengths: the ZFF experience and expertise in health leadership and governance, the global work of TCI in reducing teenage pregnancies, therefore making its expertise and tools available, the work of the Philippine government on reproductive health and family planning, and the experience and commitment of the participating cities in improving their health systems and health outcomes. And we are confident that with these strengths, we can see faster reduction of teenage pregnancies in the Philippines. The 5-year collaboration is co-funded and co-managed by ZFF and Gates Institute in partnership with the POPCOM. Today, we will have Undersecretary Mirna Cabotaje of DOH, Dr. Juan Antonio Perez of POPCOM, Clea Finkel, Program Officer of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, as well as Oying Rimon and Austere Panadero. They will share with us the importance of investing in and working together in reproductive health, especially at this time of COVID-19 pandemic, where resources have become scarcer. We will also have the mayors of Cagayan de Oro, Puerto Princesa, and Dipolog, who will share their efforts in ensuring essential services, including reproductive health, are improved. And finally, our trustee, Danielle Zwilig, will affirm our commitment to this TCI initiative. We all look forward to working together and sharing the lessons and approaches to other cities in the Philippines, and likewise with the rest of the world through the TCI University. Thank you very much. Welcome and good morning to all.
Thank you very much, President Garilao. So indeed, today is all about health leadership and governance. Thank you for showing us that, President Garilao. So at this point, moving on, the Challenge Initiative has partnered with the Swellig Family Foundation and the Commission on Population and Development to launch this initiative in the Philippines. So to have an overview of the adolescent health and development situation in the country, our teenage pregnancy rates, please watch this video.
Move towards progress. Of the more than 100 million Filipinos, 1 in 10 are adolescents, aged 10 to 19, or more than 20 million young Filipinos. While they are a force to reckon with, they are currently faced with different problems and threats that undermine their health and well-being. One of the serious issues facing young Filipinos is early pregnancy. Teenage pregnancy among Filipinos remains high and is now considered as a national social emergency. Based on the 2017 National Demographic and Health Survey, 9% of Filipinas aged 15 to 19 were pregnant or have already given birth. There is an increasing trend in the number of teens aged 10 to 14 giving birth and in the number of repeat pregnancies, second pregnancy, among these young girls. About 2,250 live births from very young adolescent mothers were reported in 2018. Data from 2011 to 2018 show a generally increasing pattern in the number of repeat pregnancies, second pregnancy, among minor mothers. These alarming data places the Philippines at one of the top spots of countries with the highest rate of teen pregnancy in Southeast Asia. The increasing incidence of adolescent pregnancy in the country is primarily caused by increasing exposure to sexual risk behaviors.
Natakot kasi yung pag-aaral ko. Mas natakot ako syempre kung ano sasabihin ng papa ko o kaya ng mga banda ko sa akin. Nung nalaman kong buntis ako, natatakot ako noon tapos hindi ko alam kung anong gagawin ko. Gusto ko lang sabihin na, sorry kasi yung time na pinanghinaan ako ng loob. Sa dalawang baby ko, pinanghinaan ako ng loob. Kasi ang gusto ko talaga noon that time, kasi 3 months pa lang si Keisha, ipalaglag. Sabi ko, kung mapapanood ito ng Keisha, sabihin ko siguro, I'm sorry. Kasi naisip ko yun. Hindi ko ginusto yun. Marami sana maging mabuting anak at saka mabuti silang bata paglaki.
These are mere realities faced by Filipino adolescents. But what is being done to enable them to face such challenges? As duty bearers of the society, we need to prioritize their needs and invest in them so that they can achieve their full potential for their health and well-being. They are important because they are our future innovators, leaders, and agents of change. Imagine every sector of the society in the country working together in the reduction of teen pregnancies, a different picture and a different reality. They will be equipped with appropriate knowledge and life skills. They will have access to reproductive health services. Eventually, there will be no more children having children. Working together to fight this issue will not only change many adolescent stories and future for the better, but most importantly, we will be laying the foundation for a stronger and a developed nation. Shaping and investing in our adolescents' future will reap us great benefits in the years to come. Will you join us in investing in our youth? Are you up for the challenge?
Wow, I hope the video gave us all the perspective on why we need to act fast in this social emergency. To briefly discuss the importance of investing in the reduction of teen pregnancies, why it's really important, in the Philippines, please help me welcome the program officer of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Miss Clea Fickle. Over to you, Clea.
Thank you, Raymond. Thank you, everybody, and good morning. It is my delight and honor to participate in the launch of the TCI Hub in the Philippines. And I would like to be one of the first to welcome the Philippine partners to the TCI family. I would like to recognize Yusik Kabutahe, and please forgive my pronunciation, Yusik Perez, Ernesto Girilao, Daniel Zwillig, Astier Panadero, the mayors of Puerto Princesa, Cagayan de Oro, and Dipalog, Oying Ramon, Kojo Loco, and attendees. The Gates Foundation is very pleased that our investment in TCI has made it possible for other investments like Bayer's to extend into the Philippines. Unfortunately, due to conflicting obligations, Bayer is unable to join us today, but I am very happy to represent goodwill of Bayer and the Gates Foundation at this launch event. The partnership between TCI, the Zwillig Family Foundation, the Commission on Population, and the Department of Health represents a compelling and innovative opportunity to reduce unintended teenage pregnancies in urban centers in the Philippines. As you may know, TCI is not your typical donor-funded project. The Gates Foundation's support for the TCI model is anchored in TCI's approach to sustainable scale-up. TCI's unique strength is what it calls the demand-driven model. But I would go further and say that the TCI approach stands out because it recognizes that the most important factor leading to sustainable programs and sustainable outcomes is country ownership. And what does this mean? It means country leadership, country management, country champions. It means country stakeholders in the driver's seat from the outset, from the identification of adolescents and youth as priorities to work planning, to capacity building, to implementation and data management, from end to end, as we say. Among other areas, the Zwillig Family Foundation introduces to this TCI model an excellence in governance. The Zwillig Family Foundation's exceptional health leadership and governance program has engaged and inspired mayors and other stakeholders to increase budgets for health and has led to significantly lowered maternal deaths in participating cities. This partnership is a great opportunity for TCI, both to support the achievement of the Philippines' goals for adolescents and also to learn from the Zwillig Family Foundation's impressive leadership and governance program and bring those learnings to TCI's other hubs in West Africa and East Africa, Nigeria, and India. Like many other countries, the Philippines is urbanizing at a rapid rate. And in the next few years, the size of its urban population will exceed that of its rural population. 2 of every 5 urban Filipinos live in urban poor settlements or slums. Despite a growing economy, indicators on family planning and teenage pregnancy in the Philippines are poor compared to neighboring countries. And as in many countries where TCI is working, economic growth and improved health outcomes over the past decade have conferred few benefits to the urban poor. Rates of teenage pregnancy are rising, and the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated the situation, as the urban poor are the most devastated by the pandemic. This is a pivotal time to invest in a new model in the Philippines, where our collective investments can go far in providing adolescents and youth with quality family planning services. By leveraging our investments, TCI in the Philippines will advance new partnerships to maximize resources and enhance family planning outcomes, with the city governments leading the charge in support of quality reproductive health service provision for adolescents and youth. We are excited to see this partnership come to fruition. And with that, I would like again to welcome you to the TCI family. Mabuhay, and to wish you all the best in a successful launch. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Clea Finkel, country ownership, leadership, and demand-driven model. Thank you for showing us what the TCI initiative is all about. So, to give an overview further of the Challenge Initiative Philippine Hub model, we are privileged to have with us today Jose Oying Rimon. Oying is the director of the Bill and Melinda Gates Institute for Population and Reproductive Health at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. He also serves as the Challenge Initiative's principal investigator, and he is a proud Filipino. And like me, he also came from Popcom in its golden era. Over to you, Oying.
As Dr. Garilao, Ernie mentioned, a few years ago, I accompanied a team of my former colleagues at the Gates Foundation to explore whether local high net worth families, that's a nomenclature sometimes used for rich people or billionaires, could have a partnership with the Gates Foundation and a number of health issues. So we actually met with I think, 7 high net worth families. And one of the people that we met, and I remember this still very clearly, is a meeting with Daniel Zwillig. And Danielle, if you remember, you expressed interest, especially on this major issue now, which is reducing teenage pregnancy in the Philippines. So that was many years ago. Now it's becoming a reality in terms of partnership. So this partnership between the Challenge Initiative, the Zwillig Family Foundation, the Commission on Population, the city governments, with the collaboration of the Department of Health, all of us bring our resources, ideas to the table. So I'm particularly delighted to see Mayor Byron of Puerto Princesa. Mayor, if you remember, I visited you in Puerto Princesa maybe a year and a half ago. I'm also delighted to see Mayor Moreno and Mayor Dexter. I hope I met you one of these days. And I would like also to acknowledge Yusek GP Perez and the former NEDA minister, Ernie, for being interested, and being a part of this challenge initiative. And Yusek Kabutahi, if you remember, I met with you and Secretary Doki also to brief you about the challenge initiative. And I'm particularly also happy that Dr. Clea Finkel, the champion of the challenge initiative at the Gates Foundation, was able to join us today. So this is to me a great day that I'm part of this launch of the challenge initiative. So the challenge initiative, we hope, will revolutionize the way development is done worldwide. That's why we call it business unusual approach. And let me just share with you 4 of the many business unusual components of this approach. One is that we don't pick really the cities where we work. We are now working in 100 cities around the world. The cities have to self-select if they want to become part of the challenge initiative, and they bring their political commitment and resources to the table. So that's different than the usual donor-driven programs in which the donors decide which place to go. Okay. The second, the business unusual component in this, and very seriously, that cities are in the driver's seat. They own this program. The job is TCI and its partners is to simply assist and coach the cities in terms of their own program. The third, which is revolution in public health, is really dealing with near-time, real-time data in order to inform decision-making, especially at the local level, in this case at the city level. Why do we have to wait for every 5 years for the DHS to find out whether we're progressing or not? It doesn't make any sense. As Melinda Gates would say, if we wait every 5 years and we are in the private sector, we would have been bankrupt by then. So TCI focuses on what are those data that we can gather so that decisions can be made by local decision makers based on data. I mean, if Walmart or Target have data access every day, why not in the area of public health? And the other component I just want to emphasize is that there is such a thing now as the Challenge Initiative University. If you want to own a McDonald's franchise, or I guess you could say Jollibee franchise, in the case of McDonald's, you have to go into a McDonald's university where you get schooled in terms of what are the best approaches to run a McDonald's franchise. In the same manner, there's a Challenge Initiative University in which all the high impact best practices around the world in the area of reducing teenage pregnancy, including the ones in the Philippines, will now be curated and placed in the TCI University for the Philippines, so that the local governments will be able to access which of these high impact best practices they can adopt and contextualize in the context of their own issues, problems, and gaps, at the city level. So I'm not gonna speak some more because we have many other important speakers to follow. But as a Filipino, I am so excited that finally we are launching Challenge Initiative in the Philippines. Welcome to everybody. I was looking at the chat box and I see many people whom I know before. So welcome to all of you. Over.
Salamat, Oying, for telling us about the Challenge Initiative. We are honored to have a fellow Filipino working on a global scale. Talagang nakakabilib. To give a better glimpse of what Oying has discussed, let us watch the short video about the Challenge Initiative.
Did you know a single investment has the power to tackle a multitude of global challenges? Urban poverty, maternal and child deaths, climate change, gender equity, and human rights. This investment is family planning. Evidence shows that for every dollar invested in family planning, society reaps $120 in benefits. Where can we invest to have the greatest impact? In the rapidly growing urban slums of Asia and Africa. 70% of the world is expected to live in cities by 2050. 90% of this growth will be in Asian and African urban areas. And most of that growth will be in poor urban slums. Providing family planning to women and girls living in these slums can ensure a brighter future for all global citizens. When a woman or girl can decide whether and when to have a child, she is empowered to pursue an education, a job opportunity, or start or grow a family. This leads to many benefits: better health for children, women, and families, increased attendance and better performance in school, improved economic conditions for communities, lower healthcare costs, less stress on urban infrastructure. The Challenge Initiative offers a groundbreaking opportunity to have a dramatic impact on underserved urban poor communities. The initiative is Business Unusual, considering financing, scale up, and sustainability in providing urban family planning solutions that work. It is a strategic shift away from the traditional aid model because local city governments decide if they want to participate, committing their own human and financial resources, political will, and ideas for solving family planning challenges. In return, cities get access to technical expertise and high-impact, evidence-based solutions to adapt for their local context. The initiative also provides funding through its Challenge Fund, which is open to other donor contributions, ensuring even greater returns when cities implement their own family planning programs. In addition to helping solve one of the most pressing issues of the 21st century, contributing to the Challenge Initiative provides major leverage for both cities and donors. Invest in innovative, high-impact family planning programs with trusted partners and proven solutions. Join our challenge.
I hope most of the LGUs present here today will be really challenged to join the initiative. To share the overview of the TCI Philippine Hub model, please help me welcome Steer A. Panadero, Executive Director of the Swillig Family Foundation. He has a wealth of experience in ensuring the local governments have all capacity effectively deliver public services and become accountable, transparent, and results based. He worked for close to 3 decades in various capacities at the Department of Interior and Local Government, where he retired as Undersecretary. Over to you, ED Austere.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for joining us in today's online launch of the TCI Hub in the Philippines. We in CFF is very much excited with this partnership as this opens up new opportunities and innovations in terms of helping our local governments carry out their AYSRH work. The issue of teenage pregnancy is a very critical one and a very important one. I think several weeks ago, we all read in the news reports on the expected uh, pregnancy boom in developing countries like the Philippines because of the pandemic. We know the challenges. Teen fertility rates in the Philippines are among the highest in Southeast Asia. The unmet need for reproductive health and family planning services among Filipino women is highest among women in the 15 to 19-year-old age group since 2008. These numbers could worsen by 2021 as disruptions caused by the pandemic and natural disasters that occurred one after the other have adversely affected the delivery of health, education, and livelihood services. The focus on teen pregnancies means addressing intergenerational cycles of poverty and poor health, as starting a family at such a young age might put an adolescent's future in peril, affecting both the economic and development growth not only of the family but also of the community. Teen pregnancies are often rooted on inequitable access to services and information, and reaching equitable, better health outcomes, which is the core of all CFF's programs, is encapsulated in CFF's health change model, wherein better health outcomes result from a responsive health system and robust community participation and demand for health services. This happens when the local and related governance systems, especially on health, are transformed. That mechanisms for community participation are in place, and that leaders who are committed and capable of improving the situation put things together and get things moving. Oying earlier mentioned about the TCI approaches for AYSRH. CFF fully shares these efforts. As a co-investor to TCI, CFF puts in investments to enable committed cities and barangays implement proven interventions adopted from other TCI hubs from all over the world and develop mechanisms to enable cities reach desired outcomes faster. This will include addressing challenges such as provider bias, engaging youth population through demand generation, ensuring aids disaggregated real-time information for decision making, financing, advocacy, and accelerating access to reproductive health services, among others. Given the setup of local governance in the Philippines, reducing teenage pregnancy requires active engagement of various stakeholders working in a coordinated fashion. Thus, the TCI hub in the Philippines will direct its interventions to address the following. A, improve capacities and strengthen commitment of our local leaders to create responsive health systems, invest and ensure budgets for AYSRH programs and services through leadership and governance interventions for barangay, youth councils, and city governments. B, capacity building of city team and health workers for integrated service delivery networks that involve non-government partners, schools and academia, and the private sector. C, promote active engagement of adolescents and youth and communities through advocacy and behavior change adoption. And D, improve support from national agencies such as the Department of Health and the Commission on Population and Development, or PACCOM, their regional implementing teams, and local stakeholders on implementing AYSRH programs at the local level. For the first year of implementation of TCI in the Philippines, we will work closely with cities of Puerto Princesa, Cagayan de Oro, and Dipolog, and perhaps other cities who will commit to join TCI to identify and implement their key strategies and investments for AYSRH, establish integrated service delivery networks for reproductive health, implement behavior adoption projects for their communities and adolescents, and ensure reproductive health programs are implemented and teen parents are supported and provided social protection services to be able to live out their aspirations and raise their children, breaking the cycle of poverty. I know this is a tall order given the limitations on project implementation brought about by the ongoing pandemic. Indeed, these are unusual times, which truly requires business unusual innovations. As the Challenge Initiative Hub, CFF is bringing into the partnership with Gates Institute its brand of leadership and governance capacity development, particularly in working with local government, improve their leadership capacities to own, co-own, and co-create a responsive health system for adolescent and youth sexual and reproductive health. In doing so, we add value to the overall national program on population and family planning, strengthen transformational relationships with local government units as they build systems that are inclusive and adolescent friendly and get to better health and development outcomes faster. Thank you very much.
Maraming salamat po, ED Austere. Truly, these are unusual times, which requires business unusual innovations. Thank you for that. And our next speaker is a medical doctor and a public servant who has over 3 decades of experience in the public and private sector health programs in the Philippines. He is a key person in the implementation of the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Law in the Philippines, and he heads the secretariat of its national implementation team, concurrently serving as the vice chair of the NIT. Please welcome the head of the Commission on Population and Development. I am pleased to introduce Undersecretary Dr. Juan Antonio Perez III. Over to you, Doc GP.
Thank you, Mai. I'd like to greet first of all my all the colleagues in the international sector, in the local sector, in the national field of governance, who are all committed to seeing this public health and development initiative come to fruition in the Philippines. When workers of government in population and development discuss challenges that have to be overcome, what comes to mind immediately is the current upswing in the number of adolescent mothers across the Philippines. So alarming is the trend that the current administration already declared the situation a social emergency of national proportions last year. In the last 5 years up to 2018, an average of 62,000 minor children below 18 became first-time mothers. Every year, the University of the Philippines Population Institute projects that this could increase by over 20% in 2021 due to the disruption caused by COVID-19. If we do nothing, our communities in 2021 will be caring for an additional 75,000 Filipino minors who will be both mothers and single heads of families next year. Indeed, the state of early pregnancy in the country is a growing population and development concern. It is a well-established fact from recent studies that Filipino girls who give birth in their teenage years, some as young as 10 years old, are at a gross disadvantage in terms of finishing their education, and their lifetime earnings as well as comparative overall income can be a third of what their peers who have avoided early pregnancy can earn. Thus, they are trapped in a predicament where their potential as productive members of society who can contribute to their community's development, as well as society as a whole, is severely impaired. That is a heavy burden on the government's anti-poverty drive if we factor in teenage mothers who more often than not belong to marginalized groups. The many adolescents who are bearing many adolescents are bearing familial duties very early in life is an aspect that can be addressed by the full implementation of the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Law, and as well as current proposed bills in Congress that are intended to strengthen this very aspect of the RPRH law. The initiative we are launching today is our answer to the call made last year by then Secretary Pernia, declaring teen pregnancy as a national social emergency. And we are calling on local governments, particularly city mayors and urbanizing municipalities, to join this initiative. The battle begins in many city and municipal hospitals where adolescents become first-time mothers. And we encourage mayors to set up programs to address this phenomenon with programs for these first-time young mothers with services and support that extend beyond hospital walls and continue in urban and rural communities that shelter these young mothers. While there are already numerous efforts in place, still there is much that needs to be done and accomplished. That is why we at POPCOM are upbeat in our collaboration with the Zwellig Family Foundation, the Gates Foundation, and the Gates Foundation through this Challenge Initiative or TCI. This undertaking will help and guide LGUs all over the country contain the alarming incidence of Filipino children having children. Now more than ever, we need collective action to work with our local governments to solve this pressing issue that has been plaguing our poorer families. With the TCI, our LGUs will be better equipped in arresting the societal plague that has been driving masses deeper into poverty. With all of that in mind, allow me now to introduce our next speaker, who with me has been a colleague in public health for the last 30 years. She will talk more about the latest developments in the health sector on teen pregnancy in the Philippines, as well as the current initiatives on adolescent youth and health development. She is a member of the Department of Health's Executive Committee and is the Undersecretary for Public Health Services. While currently leading the country's vaccination efforts, especially in the time of this pandemic, my counterpart from the DOH is better known as a champion of the cause of public health and overall well-being of our country's young citizens. Please welcome my colleague, my partner in family planning, Dr. Mirna Kabutahe, MPH, CESO 3, Undersecretary of Health. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. GP. I am honored. Ikaw pala mag-i-introduce sa akin. Good morning to everyone, our partners in health, especially reproductive health, adolescent reproductive health, and development. We are happy to join all of you for the launching of the Challenge Initiative on reducing teenage pregnancies in cities in the Philippines. This is a project initiated by the Commission on Population in partnership with the Bill and Melinda Gates Institute for Population and Reproductive Health and the Zwillig Family Foundation. Yes, Miss Clea Finkel, Director Oying Ramon, and Miss Executive Director Kodjo Loco, We are proud to be part of another family, the TCI family. As Dr. GP has mentioned, we have been partners, co-managers of the National Family Planning Program, even if they have divorced us and left the DOH for NEDA. And this is another string of partnership with the Swelig Family Foundation, Prof. Garilao, Secretary, Executive Director Austere Panadero, and all our members of the CFF. Our partnership has gone a long way for the health change model, our leadership and governance, health system and health outcomes, our bridging leadership in maternal and child health, and even nutrition, and efforts at tuberculosis program. And I think I'm already an extra member of the CFF family. Will you accept me, Mr. Daniel Swelig? I have been in many CFF forums. The Department of Health, as the primary agency working for the health of all Filipinos, recognize that youth is an important sector of the population, not only because of their size, but because of the growing health and health-related concerns they are experiencing. And addressing adolescent teenage pregnancy is the top one priority of the Adolescent and Health Development Program of the DOH. As Yusek GP has been mentioning, there are efforts far and wide on adolescent and health development. But I think this is now an ownership from the LGUs that we are espousing. The results of the 2017 National Demographic and Health Survey. This is a survey conducted regularly by the Philippine Statistics Authority to monitor health data, among others, gives us reason to be hopeful and to work doubly hard. The prevalence of adolescent birth rate, or the fertility rate, has gone down to 47 out of 1,000 live births, from 57 out of 1,000 in 2013. The number of women aged 15 to 19 who have begun childbearing has slightly decreased from 10% in 2013 to 9%. Overall, 9% of adolescent women have already begun childbearing. Thus, 1 in every 19-year-olds is already a mother. But I also acknowledge the new business unusual approach that we do not need for the results of the National Demographic Health Survey to act. No? This will just help us monitor. But I agree that there should be real-time data management, and analysis. We acknowledge that this concern needs a multi-sector effort. That's why all of you are here. Our partners from the local government units, our partners from the civil society organizations, our other national government agencies, and the other sectors represented in today's launching. So we need to protect our adolescent from both health and non-health risks and outcomes related to early pregnancy. We are pleased to be part of this campaign to address the phenomenon of teenage pregnancy in the country, now considered a national social concern. The DOH commends the TCI's goal to reduce teenage pregnancies in various cities in the Philippines, and agree with the 3 thrusts of better data management and analysis, advocacy, and action, and therefore ultimately aim to join the global showcase of how high impact and proven practices can produce results in a business unusual approach. As Director Austere was saying, they will chronicle, we will archive, we will share the various practices all over the world. That is why you have the TCI University. And now more than ever during this time of pandemic, when we do not have time to go around and observe, this is a good platform to share the many experiences that are available all over the world. We hope that these proven interventions can be implemented at the local level. And we congratulate and we welcome our different local government units and chief executives who are here with us and to take on the challenge. Our Honorable Mayor Oscar Moreno from Cagayan de Oro City, Mayor Lucilo Byron of Puerto Princesa City, and Mayor Darrell Dexter Uy, Dipolog City. So I think you're forced to commit to TCI and have access to high impact practices, deepen governance capacities for adolescent sexual reproductive health, and the most important, own the program. No? This is part of the leadership and governance, and lead a successful campaign for advocacy through collective action. Yes, there have been many efforts far and wide at adolescent and reproductive health, but you are the important factor to put all of this together in your respective municipalities with your leadership so that you can improve our health systems and have better health outcomes. The Department of Health, through our Centers for Health Development, will not only need to continue what they have been doing, but likewise, we are challenged to step up and be more creative and innovative, especially during this time, in supporting our local government units through efficient policies and programs, as Austere has mentioned, the responsive policies, improving our health facilities and services, and providing technical assistance to the local government units and capacitating our primary healthcare providers on adolescent sexual and reproductive health. In the diagram of Austere, this is our enabling environment that all of us need to create for our adolescents. On behalf of the DOH, we urge all of those who are here, especially our local government leaders, and there is the reason why the priorities are the cities, partners and stakeholders here present, that your efforts in supporting these programs as duty bearers, as owners, as co-owners of this program are investments we make for the future of our communities and our countries. It is our overall goal to improve the health status of our young people and enable them to fully enjoy their right to health. We can never overemphasize the fact that you are in the best position to make an impact on the lives of our young Filipinos as we work for health for all. Congratulations to the initiators and to those who are participating. Mabuhay tayong lahat at maraming salamat po.
Mabuhay po, Undersecretary Mirna Cabotaje. Thank you very much for calling us to step up, be more creative and innovative, and our efforts as duty bearers are investments for the future. Also in our chat box, Dr. John Liavado, the National Family Planning Program Manager of the DOH, has also reminded us that there's a tool to track annual number of current users and new acceptors for local government units. So the LGUs present can also consider this and really make an impact on the family planning in your LGUs. So at this point, to give a response from the city governments, let us welcome Honorable Oscar Moreno of Cagayan de Oro City. Mayor Oscar Oca Seriña Moreno is the incumbent mayor of Cagayan de Oro City, Northern Mindanao. He is a lawyer by profession and a former banker before he entered public service. His brand of politics is anchored on the mantra, serving the people the best way possible, a testament to his genuine, transparent, and responsive delivery of public service. Again, I am pleased to announce, serving the people the best way possible. Please welcome Honorable Oscar Moreno of Cagayan de Oro City.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mike, for that very generous introduction. Good morning to you, and good morning to everyone. And of course, let me greet former Secretary Garilao, Executive Director Ostir Panadero, um, uh, Dr. Jose Rimon, Director of the Gates Institute, and Clea Finkel, Program Officer of Bill and Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation, Dr. Juan Antonio Perez III, and Yusek Mirna Kabutahe. Uh, I have not met her before, but during the early uh, months of the pandemic, I used to be her constant caller, inquiring about the fundamentals, things that we needed to do. Of course, everybody recalls how difficult it was, the onset of the pandemic. No, it was like we were completely in the dark, and I'm not a medical man, and although we're lucky, we have good people here in our health services and a good team. But Yusek Kabutahe has certainly helped me a lot in understanding the nuances of, especially on the risk assessment side. Maraming salamat po doon, Yusek Mirna. Now, I'd like to thank, of course, the Zwillig Family Foundation, POPCOM, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for honoring Cagayan de Oro in our by accepting us as one city that has committed to participate in the challenge initiative. And as you know, the TCI is a vital driver. And you know, the city is growing, and the city is the convergence point of Northern Mindanao, the education center, the hospital care center, the trading hub, the banking business sector, the travel hub. So people converge to Cagayan de Oro City. And in fact, our plan is to uh, expand with quotations, Cagayan de Oro's reach to include what we call as Metropolitan Cagayan de Oro, realizing that Cagayan de Oro has a role to play in the entire region, Northern Mindanao region, and it would be very, very helpful for all of us if we have harmony in our policies and directions and strategies involving a much bigger area. Um, you know, politics can be very limiting, and so the strategy is to reach out to more areas to so that we can grow together, we can address our problems together, and we can reach our destination together. Walang iwanan. The pandemic has taught us one very important lesson: teamwork. You cannot operate in isolation. You cannot operate alone. You have to be conscious of what's around you, what's beyond you, in order to be more effective. No? So as we go through some of our slides, no, ito yung our participation in the City Leadership and Governance Program, sponsored by or which is led by Zwillig Family Foundation. And we now have, I think we're now on our third or even fourth year with Zwillig. So I hope that GLIG has not tired on us, that they're excited still in our eagerness to reach new heights, new levels, to improve further the services that we deliver. Um, yeah, next slide, please. Cagayan de Oro's vision for health. Of course, we're quite ambitious, and ours is a holistic health services. And the universal healthcare program indeed is very timely for us, no? And these are our data on adolescent birth rate. 2017, 80.1, etc. No? And it has increased last year. And now that we have the pandemic with us, uh, I have been deliberating, I have been debating with myself, what will be the effect of the pandemic? No, we have the quarantine. Children who are below 21 years of age are prohibited from leaving their homes. Although now they have adjusted it to 15. No, now that's very, very difficult, and I hope that this program will certainly help us in addressing teenage pregnancy. And I had wished that education would be one way of addressing that problem. That's why we put up more than 20 high school campuses to provide, to give inspiration to our youth. The city was awarded the best child-friendly, highly urbanized city last year. And I would like to thank our various departments in the city government, the entire bureaucracy, for contributing their share in bringing about a child-friendly. And what we'd like to do is also a youth-friendly and adolescent-friendly city. Next slide, please. Okay, on the strengthening of the health system, we have succeeded thanks to the Department of Health 8-5 program. Our health centers have been upgraded. What we have done was essentially to counterpart with the Department of Health. So, especially now, our agenda is to decongest Northern Mindanao with regard to childbirth. No? So our health centers have produced unprecedented results. No? Decongesting Northern Mindanao Medical Center and J.R. Bora that would allow them to focus on COVID issues. Our preventive promotive care, of course, thanks to Ateneo and DOST, for our advancement program, and also on our classrooms. We have so far built almost 800 classrooms, and established more than 20 high school campuses. No, and this is one big thing that we have done: the upgrading of the Usiniano Borja General Hospital, the city hospital, and it's now much bigger than what it used to be. And we are putting up two more hospitals, one for each district, one in Lumbia and the other in Tablon. And we hope to finish them by next year. Priority population, of course, our PhilHealth program. I have always been a believer of PhilHealth, and even up to now, I still believe in PhilHealth. And I just hope that there will be that the rehabilitation and restructuring will be done soon. Next slide, please. Of course, expression of our commitment to adolescent reproductive health and development. We're committing 6.5 billion pesos as counterpart to the TCI implementation for year one. We have proposed a budget of 250 million. So that's about 10% No, 6.5 billion. No, that's about 10% of our annual budget. This is our team, very strong and dedicated team, and enjoying as well the beauty of Samal Island while going through some seminar. And this is our city implementation team for EO number 001. Thank you very much for their support and their commitment. No, many are from the private sector, and I am grateful to all of them. Also from the Department of our City Health Office and the Department of Health. Okay, so we have a good team, and I'm very, very happy with our team. And I would again like to thank everybody for believing in Cagayan de Oro. We will not prove you wrong. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Moreno. Walang iwanan at teamwork. You, talagang kailangan talaga natin mag-invest at commitment. Your inclusive and resilient brand of public service is an inspiration. Moving on to give his response and share the experience of Puerto Princesa City, please help me welcome Mayor Lucilo Bayron. Mayor Lucilo R. Bayron is known for his slogan, "Hindi bukas, kundi ngayon," that fuels him and his co-public servants to render fast and quality service. Over to you, Mayor Bayron.
Thank you. I'd like to greet first Director Oyin Rimon of Bill and Melinda Gates Institute. Also, Chairman Ernesto Garilao of Swellig Foundation, USEC Dr. Perez of Population Commission, DOH USEC Kabutahe, to Mayor Oscar Moreno and Mayor Daryl Uy of the two other TCI cities. I also would like to greet Amina Swanopol, representing Roots of Health, our NGO partner in this teenage pregnancy problem, and everybody who are listening and watching this Zoom conference. Good morning. Maayong buntag kanindong tanan. Welcome to Puerto Princesa City, Philippines, the only city in the best island in the world, the island of Palawan. The city is experiencing at the moment rapid population growth, rapid urbanization, and rapid growth of its economy. The number one industry is tourism, followed closely by trade and commerce, and a poor third is agriculture. One of the seven wonders of nature is situated in the city of Puerto Princesa. That is the Puerto Princesa Underground River. And with its natural beauty and rich biodiversity, the city of Puerto Princesa and the province of Palawan is one of the top destinations in the world. The city's population at the moment is about 280,000, 40% of which are the youth, the 24 years old and below. And of this population, 16% compose the adolescent from the ages 10 to 19. We look at our youth as the future leaders, the heirs of the city, the beneficiaries of everything that we do. We look at the youth sector as a very important sector of the population. And in 2017, we recognized the number of teen pregnancies in the city of Puerto Princesa at a whopping 1,611, top in the entire Mimaropa region. But after we organized our core team, this was reduced to 830 because we found out that there were duplications, and some of those reported are not really from the city of Puerto Princesa. In 2018, the city of Puerto Princesa passed City Ordinance 819, providing for the organization of the city implementation team with the city mayor as the chairman. And in we started to fund the effort of the city of Puerto Princesa. And in 2020, we appropriated a sum of 77 million for adolescent sexuality reproductive health program and another 58 million for 2021. We have organized our prime movers and the core team, and they are all functioning very well. The figures that I told you that I mentioned, the appropriation does not include the appropriation in our special education fund. We're proud to say that when our DepEd, decided that we will go into distance learning, we immediately funded everything that they need at a total sum of 42 million. So in the city of Puerto Princesa, there is no solicitation for ink, paper, or anything because we provided everything for the students and the youth of the city of Puerto Princesa. I will leave behind all the things that we want to tell you or want to inform you about to our core team. We have with us our City Health Officer, Dr. Rick Panganiban. We have with us our focal person, Annalisa Herrera. And if there is any question that will be asked of us, they will be the ones to answer. Thank you very much. And I'd like to say thank you to Swellig Foundation for inviting us to join and be one of the TCI cities, which we gladly accepted. And we know that by participating in the TCI cities, we'll be able to enhance our existing programs and be able to serve better the younger sector of our population. Thank you very much. Good morning to all of you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mayor Lucilo Bayron. 77 million for adults in health and youth development is really something worth commending. Mayor Tribe increase, Mayor. So at this point, we'd like to announce that the next speaker is a second-term mayor in Dipolog City, the capital of Zamboanga del Norte province. His skills in business mixed with strong family values and strong faith in God help him to bring progress and development to the city. He strongly believes that the children and the youth should be given importance and guidance by the government through its responsive programs. His vision is Dipolog City as Singapore in 2030, progressive, safe, orderly, resilient, and God-centered city, responsive to the needs of Dipolognons, particularly of the vulnerable sector of the society. Please welcome, we are so honored to have with us today, the City Mayor of Dipolog City, Honorable Mayor Daryl Dexter Uy.
Pleasant day to our partners from the Commission on Population, Department of Health, Swedish Family Foundation, TCI, John Hopkins University, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Mayor Moreno, Cagayan de Oro, and Mayor Byron of Puerto Princesa, and to everyone attending this event. Growing up, I was raised by parents who are firm believers that children should grow up instilled with family values and an abiding faith in God. I believe that this provided me with the proper environment to prepare me for my current role as a father of 4 kids and the father of my beloved Filipinos. This is where I will anchor the efforts to realize the shared dreams and aspirations of our people for the future. Our interest to be part of TCI is born out of the gold status as one of the most child-friendly cities in the country. We wish to build on this accomplishment by also making our city adolescent-friendly, where there will be increased youth access to programs on pregnancy prevention, mental health, values formation, and community-based clinical services, as well as provide opportunities for teen mothers to have a good quality of life. We would like to sustain the health gains, especially on AY-SRH, that was achieved during the City Leadership and Governance Program. The TCI project will make us learn more of the adaptive and innovative programs that would help us better existing programs by addressing barriers to prevent adolescents and the youth from engaging in risky behaviors that may affect not just their reproductive health, but their overall well-being. Likewise, the TCI project will strengthen our ownership of the issues in AYSRH and make our city system more ready and responsive through collaboration between stakeholders in the community and other sectors. We already have started and done a lot of initiatives for youth and adolescents. What we wish to accomplish through this project is sustain and strengthen our learning interventions. We believe that it is possible through meaningful and deep community engagement participation. Also, TCI provides Lupolo with the opportunity to share our success story on reducing teenage pregnancies with other Philippine cities and even with other TCI hubs. One of our priority concerns is the high teenage pregnancy in the city. We are, however, looking at it as an opportunity to strengthen our own leadership and introduce improvements in our health system from 2017 to present. Under my supervision, our city department, together with NGOs and other partners in the city, we were able to implement several interventions already for our adolescents and youth. These are too many to mention. I just wish to highlight the partnership between our City Health Office and DOH, which focus on the supply side by providing facilities, commodities, and health human resource, as well as in the demand side for advocacy and innovative programs to reduce teenage pregnancies. Meanwhile, the City Population Management and Development Office with PAMCOM implemented programs primarily on demand generation to contribute in the prevention of early and repeated pregnancies. Then our City Social Welfare and Development Office, particularly the Local Youth Development Office, championed the various programs, projects, and activities for children, adolescents, and youth. The Dipolog City Police Station likewise played an important role through the enforcement of city regulations on protection and security, such as the protection are for minors, public information dissemination, particularly on BAUC and the anti-rape law. Lastly, the Sangguniang Kabataan was primarily tasked to implement programs for youth following the Adolescent Youth Development Plan. And of course, we acknowledge the invaluable support and collaboration of our partner NGO and CSO in the city. As mentioned, we have already done a lot, and our sites are now focused on sustaining our gains and continuing collaboration to ensure that we will be able to reduce adolescent birth, thus helping more people achieve their dreams. Finally, I wish to introduce the Dipolog team for AYSRH and the existing City Health leadership team that was formed in CLGP. The team is composed of devoted city leaders, public servants, and non-government partners who have all committed to work devotedly on this project. On behalf of the Dipolog team, we would like to thank and congratulate you on launching of the challenge initiative. Daghang salamat and may God bless us all.
Thank you, Mayor Darrell, for emphasizing the important role of values formation, addressing the increasing teenage pregnancies, and emphasizing the critical role of building a responsive health system. To affirm CFF's commitment, please welcome Daniel Swillig. Daniel Swillig is a trustee of the Swillig Family Foundation. Together with his cousin David Swillig, he represents the family on the Board of Trustees. Over the past years of the Foundation's work towards improving health outcomes in rural communities of the Philippines by strengthening leadership and governance capacities of local leaders, Daniel has consistently drawn the attention of stakeholders to the imperative of understanding and addressing the problems of adolescent health and teenage pregnancies. Over to you, Daniel.
Thank you for the introduction. I would like to express my appreciation to the Honorable City Mayors of Puerto Princesa, Cagayan de Oro, and Dipolog, Mayor Byron, Mayor Moreno, and Mayor Oy, to Undersecretary Dr. Mirna Cabotaje of the Department of Health, to Dr. Juan Antonio Perez of the Commission on Population and Development, to our host today, my Kirai, to Dr. Clea Finkel of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and of course to Dr. Oying Rimon of the Gates Institute. I thank you all for joining us today and collaborating with the Sulik Family Foundation in the implementation of the Challenge Initiative in the Philippines. Reducing teenage pregnancies and ensuring access to reproductive health services is indeed a challenge. And it is a challenge that has become even more challenging with the pandemic. But the challenge also comes with the opportunity to innovate and to reach adolescents, especially those who are most vulnerable and likely to engage in risky behavior. Working with the TCI is a unique opportunity for all of us to learn from the Gates Institute, which works on a global scale, and to get to share with the TCI our experience and expertise in health leadership and governance in the Philippine setting. Through this partnership program, we seek to impart lessons and tools to help city governments strategize, invest, and provide key interventions in adolescent and youth health and development. In improving their capacities, we hope that the city leaders will establish the enabling environments that make it easier for adolescents and young adults to access health and reproductive services and to develop their ability to achieve their aspirations for a better life. My family is committed to helping improve the health outcomes of Filipinos. And the Sulik Family Foundation is co-investing in this program so that we can begin the prompt implementation of approaches that reduce teenage pregnancies and to do this quickly. Now is the time to act together and to create a collective impact to thwart the expected increase in teenage pregnancies caused by COVID-19. I look forward to seeing this program contribute to better health systems in our cities and better health outcomes for young Filipinos based on real-time data and collective action. To all members of the TCI family in the Philippines, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, Daniel, for affirming your commitment to ensuring that young Filipinos can thrive, access health services, and develop their capacities to achieve their aspirations for a better life. To formally close our online launch, let us welcome Mr. Kojo Loco, the TCI Executive Director. Over to you, Kojo.
Thank you, Raymond, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Distinguished panelists and guests, all protocols observed. It is a pleasure to be wrapping up this honorable launch of TCI in the Philippines. On behalf of TCI Global and the entire TCI family across the world in 4 other regions, we would like to congratulate TCI Philippines for being the newest member to the family. And I give there's a shout out from all the other countries that are implementing TCI, and they bring you greetings. So we are coming to your homes and to your offices across 15 time zones. And it's the power of technology that has made this possible. And let it be a silver lining through having this COVID situation, in that this has actually been the largest gathering of a TCI launch in a country or in a region, and obviously wouldn't have happened if we were doing it in person, and that this situation has offered us the opportunity. And so we are represented all across these 15 time zones. I'm not going to sum up the various speeches that have been made. I think it's been poignant and straight to the point. What I'll pull out really is what is coming out clearly as our vision. And it was said that that the vision is that there will be no children having children. So essentially, children do not have business in having children. And I'd like to challenge the panelists, the guests, the press, and all under the sound of my voice today. And I see a recording of over 300 participants, that we join hands to say that we'll put our muscle to ensuring that there is a massive reduction of teenage pregnancy in the Philippines as we start in the first 3 cities. Before I wrap up with a few announcements, I just want to permit me to call out Dr. Claire Finkel and her team at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for offering TCI the platform initially at the onset of this program to be bold and really take up this challenge and have provided the needed support from the onset up to now. And so we salute you, Claire, and your team out there. And of course, we call out also Bayer AG, our other large donor that is supporting the Gates Foundation in this initiative, and with special emphasis on the Philippines, and to the other private philanthropists that are supporting TCI. They all made it possible for us to create that groundswell that has allowed us to be able to come to the Philippines, for which we are grateful. I would also like to call out the Israeli Family Foundation. And I call out, I say that this offers a new approach to development aid in terms of how even TCI does business. We have 4 accelerator hubs in the other regions, and the Israeli Family Foundation has offered us a completely different approach in doing business in how they partner with us. And we appreciate the foundation's support in this area. Mr. David Zwillig, we salute you and your team. As we focus on adolescent reproductive health and teenage pregnancy reduction in itself, and as I recognize the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, I couldn't help but remember just about 2 years ago when I had the opportunity to facilitate a roundtable meeting with 4 Melinda Gates, one of the co-chairs of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, together with 6 governors of counties in Kenya, in East Africa. And during the facilitation of this, it was a really great conversation about the priorities for the governors in these counties. And what the governors highlighted and put before Melinda Gates at the time was the challenge of teenage pregnancy in their counties. And that became a highlight of the conversation around this roundtable discussion. And Melinda, upon returning to the office, immediately, and I say immediately, sanctioned a multi-million-dollar grant to Kenya to support those counties in teenage pregnancy. And that set a major tone or set a major stage for how we develop the teenage pregnancy program and the adolescent reproductive health program, for which the packages of which we are also sharing in the Philippines. And that I couldn't just, that came back to mind in terms of how this happened even just about 2 years ago, which really put a major wind in our sail. And so just before we wrap this up, I would like to say a big thank you to all our panelists. And I wouldn't go through the list of all the panelists because we're running out of time. But we do appreciate all that you've said. We're grateful to the support from the Department of Health. And it's always great to see government partnership in there. We give a shout out to the governors the mayors that are out there in the three cities that will be leading this initiative. Again, thanks to the Zwillig Foundation and to Popcom. And to all of you that have participated in this launch, thank you to you. And of course, we can't go away without saying thanks to Raymond and Mai for ably facilitating this session. So I do have just three announcements to make. The recording of this launch will be made available to all participants, and we'll share it with you. So it is being recorded. And then I see there are loads of questions that have come in there and in the chat box. And because of time, all these questions will be addressed and shared with the entire participants. And so be rest assured that your questions will be answered. And then the last but not the least is that for those of you who will be joining the virtual press conference, please stay on for another 30 minutes. So thank you all. It's been a great launch, and thank you for your support for teenage pregnancy reduction in the Philippines as we launch TCI Philippines. Over to you, Maya and Raymond.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kojo Loco, also for your support to the reduction of teenage pregnancies in our country here in the Philippines. And again, thank you very much, everyone. Please stay on for the virtual presser right after this formal program where our friends from the media can ask questions. Those who wants to stay, you may stay, and if you want to witness, but our friends from the media will ask questions to our panelists for today, which will be composed of Mr. Kojo Loco, President Ernesto Garilao, Yusek Juan Antonio Perez III, and all our city mayors, Mayor Oscar Moreno, Lucilo Byron, and Mayor Daryl Dexter Oy. Also, we'd like to remind you that you can use the hashtag posted on our official pages on Facebook. We are live also on Twitter, the Popcom Facebook account, and then the ZFF Facebook account, the Challenge Initiative Facebook account. We are also live on Twitter, the Popcom Twitter account. And also, we'd like to thank all our local government unit participants here today, our local population offices, our local health offices, all our government agencies, our donor agencies, our non-government organization partners, our private sector, of course, the media. I'd also like to thank the POPCOM officers and staff. Also, our Deputy Executive Director, Lolito Tocardon, is here with us today. And thank you, everyone. Please stay on for the virtual presser. And this has been your moderator from the Commission on Population and Development, Mikey Rai.
And I am Raymond Maso, your co-moderator. This has been
The Challenge Initiative, the Philippine
the
Hub,
Philippine Hub, now
now
signing off.
signing off. Thank you very much, everyone. Mabuhay! All right, so thank you very much. Please stay on, the panelists of our virtual presser. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. All right, so we move on to our virtual presser. Okay, so this is the chance of our friends from the media. Please rename your account so that it will be easier for us to identify who's asking the question. All right. So our panelists will be giving a statement after the Q&A, and then the media can ask questions by raising their hands and unmuting their microphones. Please introduce yourselves and the organization you come from, so that and the panelists that you would like to address your questions to. All right. So who wants to go first? You can raise your hand so that our team here can identify who you are. All right. So I can ask first. This came in through our email. All right, from From Miss Diana Mendoza, a journalist working as associate producer and head writer of One News, Signal TV Philippines, and co-founding editor of Women Writing Women. So her questions are: number one, the Philippines has been a recipient of many funding and technical support from development organizations for its family planning and reproductive health programs. How different is TCI in its business unusual approach? How is it an improvement from past approaches? So, who wants to answer that?
Mike, can I endeavor to answer, Dayan? This is
Yes,
Dr.
po.
GP. Well, traditionally, the assistance coming from partners, development partners abroad, has focused on the provision of, at the start, late 20th century and early 21st century, was really focused on providing commodities. Because up to 2010, 2011, the Philippines was not buying any, really, to a great extent, the family planning needs of our people. And we were dependent on supplies coming in. There has been a change from provision of commodities to more of technical assistance coming from partners such as USAID, UNFPA, and multilateral financing institutions, and even at the level of the country level or bilateral arrangements. This TCI initiative is unique in that, as stated earlier, it's business unusual. It sets itself apart from the way assistance has been provided in the past, because the leaders now, and we have the vanguard mayors who are really taking up the challenge. The Mayor Moreno of Cagayan de Oro, Mayor Byron of Puerto Princesa, and Mayor Uy of Dipolog. They are really the vanguard mayors who are saying, we will commit to make a change in our cities, and they will be assisted in their leadership by the assistance that will be coming from the TCI, which has, a counterparting feature, which also features a university. So this is really a different way of providing technical assistance, because we do recognize in our situation of a devolved health system, of local autonomy, that the local chief executives are truly the leaders of local development, including adolescent health and their development. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusek Perez. Anyone who would also like to answer that? Maybe from TCI, Mr. Kojo Loco or ZFF would like to add to that answer?
Well, I'd just like to add a few things. It's important that in terms of the difference between some of the other development programs that have gone on, is that TCI has, it's unique in that it's demand driven. We do not impose the program on the locations or the cities that we work with. So the cities opt and express interest in joining this program. And what it does is that it actually strengthens the city or the local government ownership, and also the commitment to the program. And so these are is a distinguishing factor. And you did see the level of commitment that was expressed by the mayors. With they coming up front from the beginning, tells you, gives you an indication of what the program is likely to be, and also it feeds the sustainable component of this program, because the political leadership and ownership is critical to long-lasting solutions in public health. So that's another distinguishing factor that I like to put out there. The other thing too is that we do not, as a team, in terms of our partners, do not actually implement. So we support the local government to do the implementation, so that there is more or less again, ownership and the local government being the driver's seat from day one. And then it's also quite an open platform where we leverage other partnership into this program, such that it's not an enclosed project, but basically it seeks how it can leverage the network in the local government to be able to achieve the objectives that we have. The last one that I'll add is that often in programs like this, we track impact through surveys, which happen sometimes maybe 3 years or 5 years down the line. However, TCI focuses on, place a lot of emphasis on near real-time data. So we have a system and an approach where we are actually getting impact data on a real-time basis, which goes to impact or goes to influence the program real time. So these are some distinguishing factors I'd like to put out there to share with the press. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kojo Loco. Anyone from ZFF would like to add before I call on the next member of the media who would like to ask a question?
Hi, Mai.
We-
This is Ustir. Can I add something lang?
Yes,
I think
ED
I just
Austin.
want to emphasize that, as Doc GP mentioned, it used to be a commodity-driven program. Now we're looking into how our cities and our LGUs are able to transform not only health systems but other related local governance systems that promote sustainability of the intervention. So this is not just about commodity, but it is also about transforming other related local governance systems to ensure that the programs get sustained, which is a departure from, I think, as Doc GP pointed out, a purely health commodity based intervention. So that's one. And the emphasis on strengthening leadership across all levels of the local government is a major feature of this intervention.
All right, thank you very much, ED Austir. We have the Executive Director of the CFF here with we'd like to call on Red Mendoza, whose hands are raised. Again, members of the media, you are encouraged to please raise your hand so we can call on you to pose your questions. Red Mendoza.
Yes, good morning po. Red Mendoza of the Manila Times. Good morning to our panelists and speakers. I would like to ask about this new initiative. I mean, we already have so many initiatives centering on family planning and adolescent health, and of course, we all have some of their results had been somewhat favorable, but some did have some problems. So, what could be the difference of the TCI initiative in promoting adolescent health, and of course, preventing teenage pregnancies? And do you think in the long run, this program would be sustainable enough for a set period of time, like for example 5 years, 10 years? Do you expect this program to be sustainable over a long period of time?
Anyone
Mike, can
can
I?
answer.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
To Red, basically, the government has put a priority on reduction of teen pregnancy. And we have long-term and short-term, let's say, goals, targets. Our short-term goal is to see the reduction in repeat pregnancies among teenagers. We see that roughly 10 to 15% of teenagers or adolescents who have become mothers have another pregnancy following on their first pregnancy. And to address that short-term goal, we are going to be working here with the cities and the hospitals where the teenagers give birth, which invariably is in urban areas. No? So that from the very onset of motherhood among adolescents, there is already a program, a health program initially that will make sure they are cared for in the hospital, but also a longer term program that will assist them as they go back to their communities. And here, the leadership of local governments is very important. When if you look at continuity of caring for young mothers who are at a disadvantage, are a vulnerable population. So here, the leadership among city mayors and city health and population workers is important, as well as the role of their communities. So we are addressing immediately the 60 to 70,000 next year young mothers who will be first-time parents, so that they do not repeat, and second, that they are sheltered and cared for by their communities as they are at a disadvantage. In the longer term, what will really sustain this program are the actions taken by schools, by communities, through, for example, comprehensive sexuality education, by parents themselves, by being involved as primary providers of information to their children, the role of the church, the role of local governments, the role of society in general. And this is where, again, mayors as local chief executives are the leaders in their local development. And with this initiative, we are really uh, putting it to local chief executives to put the welfare of their adolescents on the top of their agenda. So this is, I believe, something new. In the past, we have had a lot of pilot activities. We have had a lot of initiatives. But here, as ED Austere Panadero was saying, it's a chance for local development, for local leaders in development to really take charge of their people's welfare. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc
Yes.
GP.
Additional question. Can I have one
Yes,
more
yes,
question?
please,
Yes.
Mr.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much, Doc GP. But let me ask another question. I noticed that the only cities that were mentioned were Cagayan de Oro, Puerto Princesa, and Dipolog. Both are urbanized cities in the provinces. Why are there any city in Metro Manila, in the capital, National Capital Region, not participated in this program? Are they? You said that the local government unit should be self-selecting, or they should self choose themselves to be part of this program. Why is no city in Metro Manila participating in this campaign? Oh, as we all know that Metro Manila is the center of our nation, and we all know that Metro Manila has a high tendency to have adolescent birth rates owing to the high poverty rate owing to the poverty rate in some cities here in Metro Manila.
Yes, Red. Can you hear me?
Yes po, yes
Yeah.
po.
Actually, this is the initial effort, and we thank Zwellig Foundation, Family Foundation, for really bringing in the mayors who have already been working with Zwellig Family Foundation. For its part, POPCOM has invited 45, I think we have in this group, 45 city representatives, I believe 2 or 3 from every region in the country. And by looking at the example, the exemplary work of these 3 cities, we hope that they will be joining the initiative. So this is both an introduction and a way of making known to as many cities as possible the possibilities that this initiative offers. So we are casting a wide net. We have 45 cities that are on board, and we hope to hear from them in the next month or so. The Commission on Population and Development is setting aside at least 5 million pesos to support any city that comes on board, and we will provide them technical assistance in terms of planning assistance and other initial work that's necessary. So when it comes to NCR, I have personally talked to Mayor Binay. She approached me last March and asked me how can Makati address its teen pregnancy issue, and I hope that they will eventually come on board. Quezon City I also has a very good has done very much work, good work on reproductive health and adolescent health. So those are cities that in Metro Manila that might join in. I am sure all the we have partners also in reproductive health in Manila. Mayor Isko Moreno has supported POPCOM's programs as well as PASIC, particularly for men's reproductive health. So I'm sure there will be joiners also from NCR. And we will be happy to announce them as they come on board. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Yusek Perez. I think Sir Uying wants to make a comment, and then I'll call on Mayor Byron of Puerto Princesa City because I saw his hand raised. Thank you.
Actually, it's for the first question about what's the difference of the TCI engagement and the usual projects of the Department of Health and the Commission on Population and Development. For us at the LGU level, we understand better what the community needs are. That's why the TCI is more of government-driven but community-led. Government-led but community-driven. It means that hindi po kami the usual na binababaan lang na programa from the national government at the download sa city government or LGUs for us to adapt. It's the other way around. It's from the roots where it's happening, and we find ways to address it, and it's at the national agency to replicate it to other cities. Yun po yung nakikita namin magiging malaking difference dun sa approach na ito with the engagement the CTCI.
All right. Thank you po very much, Representative of Mayor Byron. I think Sir Uying wants to share something regarding the first question, the earlier question of Sir Red.
So I think, Red, you asked a very important question about sustainability. So that's actually a very important and a hard question for the entire world community to address that. In the case of TCI, we actually have developed the tools, to be able to be adopted by the local governments to track sustainability. And it is not for me, to talk about the details of the tools, but there are tools to be able to do that, again, on a real-time basis that the local governments are able to see. The other thing about sustainability, Red, is that if you look at every research conducted in the entire world, without any exception, in the area of public health, what is the most important finding of that research? And you will be surprised that the most important finding of the research is that political commitment is directly related to sustainability, okay? So that's why just the simple act of making this a self-selecting model of the cities opting to join, not us selecting the cities. That shows the political commitment of the cities, that they bring their own ideas, their own resources to the table. And that is directly related to how we can predict sustainability over time. Okay, we have also other tools, to advance how we measure sustainability. So it's not just a question of whether there is continued funding. Okay, it's also whether certain high impact best practices continue to be implemented by the city long after the technical assistance has ended. And we are seeing that in the many cities around the world that we have already worked in. You'll all be surprised, Red, that when this was first conceived, the idea of self-selection, nobody thought that this is going to work. They said, you expect cities to bring in their resources? Good luck. That was the cynical point of view in development among donors. And we wanted to prove them wrong. So in fact, we were shocked to find out that in the 100 cities where TCI is active right now, you will be shocked at the financial contribution, not in kind. The financial contribution of the cities is about 110 million US dollars. That shows you the level of enthusiasm, commitment that the city governments, the local mayors, and the local governors, take this seriously. So over.
Thank you very much, Sir Uying. 110 million US dollars for investments of city governments. That's a lot. So at this point, I'd like to call on Mr. Ernesto Garilao would like to make a comment, and then I'll call on the other city mayors here present, Honorable Oscar Moreno and Honorable Daryl Dexter Uy, after Mr. Ernesto
Okay.
Garilao.
Let me just relate to the question, what makes this program different from the rest? And I think that's a very, very important question. Number one, I think, as I mentioned earlier, we are really making investments in this program. So between TCI and Zwillig Foundation, that's around $2 million. Not counting what the local governments are doing, are giving in, and not counting resources from the Commission on Health, Commission on Population and Development, and DOH. And these are really major investments. And therefore, as a result of the major investments, what is it that you would want to see? And I forget the name of the first one who asked the question. My advice to him is that
Sir
in
Red.
1 year from now, what's his name?
Red Mendoza.
No, the first one.
I
Diane
Mendoza. Diane Mendoza.
What? I think you go back in November of 2021. You should come back to the program and ask the question, as a result of 1 year's intervention, did the teenage pregnancies was it actually reduced? All right, and I think that is going to be the very core of what will make this program different, because there would be accountability for performance. At the end of the day, all these programs, I say you already put in, the cities are already committed, we have access already to the global best practices from TCI. There are already interventions coming from health leadership and governance. There is the expertise of DOH and Commission on Population. So given all this, package of expertise and resources, what is going to come out? And what is going to come out is reduction of teenage pregnancies. Some cities may be fast, some cities may be slower, but that's what you really want to see. So in a sense, I think this is the challenge of the Philippine hub. No, when do we start seeing the reduction of teenage pregnancies? Uh, we don't expect immediate drastic reduction, but we expect to see reduction over time. And even when you say reduction down the line in year one or year two, year three, we can even ask the question, why is the reduction slow? No? Why can it not be made faster, etc., etc.? Then you go back now to the interventions. No? We're not looking for, I don't think we're looking for silver bullets here, but we're looking for a systematic effort in seeing to it that you really see the gradual reduction of teenage pregnancies. Not after 5 years, ha? Kasi after 5 years, patay na siguro lahat, sinasabi nila. But you want to see it on a year-to-year basis.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Garilao. Seeing it on a year-to-year basis. And then we'd like to call on Mayor Oscar Moreno,
Yeah,
Honorable
yeah,
Mayor.
yeah. Thank you. And let me continue where Secretary Garilao ended. No, dahil, you know, my father was a rural doctor, and I learned in my childhood, you know, that what I saw was every day people would flock to his clinic, no, every day, and I realized that, you know, in health, trust and confidence are very, very crucial. And if the doctor is able to address the illness, people will keep on coming back. People will keep on coming back, no? And you know, because somebody asked me, why is the 2019 PPR of Cagayan de Oro higher than 2018 and 2017? You know, the answer there is complicated, no? Uh, Having a teenage daughter pregnant is quite humiliating in the provinces. Chances are the girl would be made to disappear. Chances are. And until she gives birth, and then etc. So I have learned that cases like AIDS, teenage pregnancy, uh, maternal mortality, even infant mortality. Because I asked, why are our figures high? But then I looked deeper into the figures and I realized that they were not from Cagayan de Oro. So that was when we made a conscious decision here in our city health office. We know they are not from Cagayan de Oro, but we will not tell the world that they are not from Cagayan de Oro. That is not the answer. We will just have to level up. We will just have to respond. No, so the higher, and I know that the better you perform, the more people will come, and it's a reality that we have to deal with. No, but hopefully, the others will realize that there are practices that they can also adopt. So that is precisely what we want to do through the Metropolitan Cagayan de Oro arrangement. No? We hope to replicate our systems to the other areas. No? And we are not discouraged by the increasing number. In fact, I look at the increasing number as a, as a, a vote of confidence. As a vote of confidence, they want to come here.
Give birth.
Our numbers are high, but you look at where they are from, much less than half are from Cagayan de Oro. But we don't mind. Even this pandemic, we are accommodating those who are not from Cagayan de Oro who seek isolation.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Mayor. Mayor Daryl Dexter Uy, you'd like to share something. And I think there was a question, Mayor. What is the drop-in Center for Children program of Tipolog and the ALMA? How does it work?
Yes. What's the question again?
Um, what is the drop-in Center for Children program of Tipolog and the ALMA? ALMA. How does it work?
Alima.
Thanks. Alima. Okay.
The drop-in is for those children that are at risk. No, it's a temporary facility where we put those children at risk so that we can give them counseling, education, and care. And for the Alima is a program that we had for our youth. No,
All right po, Mayor. Would you like to contribute pa po and add something po dun sa questions
yes.
earlier? I think
Actually, for the question earlier, no,
yes po.
on the what is TCI different from
Different from all other
all
government
other, yeah.
approaches. Yes po.
Actually, I really don't know the right answer for that. What I know is that no one knows everything, right? Moreover, health sciences and clinical practice changes in time, and thus lifelong learning is necessary, and you need to adapt and for new uh, approach and new tools. That's why it's a continuous learning process for all of us.
Lifelong learning process. Very well said. So as of now, we only have last two questions, and anyone who would like to answer this. The last two questions are: how do the cities handle or deal with teenage pregnancy among indigenous peoples? And then the other one is how can we encourage young people to come and enjoy the services of the teen youth hubs while mobility restrictions is still on? So who'd like to answer po the first one? How do your cities, I think it's for the local government units, deal with teenage pregnancy among indigenous peoples? Anyone po from the local government units who'd like to answer? If you have a lot of indigenous peoples in your communities.
Yes.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yes.
Honorable Uy.
Uh, what we uh, what we're doing here in our city, together with our partners, is providing services for the whole community, regardless of their age, ethnicity, belief, and culture. Like I said, what's important is we provide education, counseling, and other support system.
All right. Who would like to answer
Yeah,
pa po?
yeah,
Mayor Oscar? Yes po.
yeah, yeah. We also have out of 80, around 13 barangays, and there are IPs, no, largely Higaonons, and teenage pregnancy was quite really high. You know, I realized that when I put up a high school in one sitio, I put up a high school. It's a growing sitio of a barangay. Every barangay has already a high school, but this time I put up one in a sitio that was 10 hours away or 10 kilometers away from the poblacion of that barangay. And when we inaugurated it, a new campus, you know what? There was somebody who spoke, the leader of the woman, no, the PTA president, and I was surprised with what she said. She said, this will now encourage our young daughters to go to school instead of to get pregnant, because they have to walk every day 10 kilometers one way. So they felt, it was the feeling that it would be easier to get pregnant so that you don't have to walk every day 20 kilometers back and forth. That was really, I was amazed by that. No? So it I realized the value of education, no, especially in the IPs. No? And of course, we have built more high schools. No? But what we are now experiencing is mother and daughter being classmates in some of these cities. Yeah.
All right. So it's a very interesting, interesting fact for CDO, mother and daughter being classmates. So, Puerto Princesa,
Can I,
would you
can,
like?
uh,
Yes, Sir Uying.
can I just comment quickly on Mayor Moreno's points?
Yes, sir.
One of the things that we learned, for example, in Kenya, why the governors in that meeting with Melinda that was facilitated by Kojoloko identified reduction of teenage pregnancy as one of their key issues, right? Was that there was a very high dropout from the schools because of pregnancy, and they cared about that. So it's kind of related to what Mayor Moreno was saying. That if you address certain issues, they're all interrelated. That sometimes it may not be a direct intervention, it may be indirect, but it would still have an impact, on your overall goal. Yeah. And on the comment to Mayor Oy, I think the issue of values formation is really critical um, to this. And by the way, one of the business unusual principles of TCI is continuous learning. We have built into the entire system of TCI a continuous learning. We continue to challenge, what we think are the best practices and continue to learn, continue to improve. So it's a permanent feature of TCI that we didn't have time to discuss, but it's good that Mayor Oy identified that too. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I may. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If I may add, no, what Mr. Rimon had said. Indeed, teenage pregnancy is one issue that is not addressed by one uh, fits all solution. No, there are many causes leading to teenage pregnancy, and that's why this program has a value added in that we are able to learn global practices addressing teenage pregnancy. One example, for instance, is, and I saw this in our deep dive session in Zwilig's program in the CLGP when I interviewed two teenage mothers, no, and wow, it was really quite revealing that their problems were essentially the same. No, they're living in one small room with their mother who had separated from their father, and then living now with their stepfather, and then a brother or a cousin or a stepfather would visit them and sleep after drinking and so on and so forth. That and the problem there really is resettlement. But resettlement is one of the most difficult public services that can be delivered. And long gestation, you need to address so many issues, no? But I think what can be done, what this program will do is realization that we still have so many things to do. And teenage pregnancy is just one of the many symptoms of this problem.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for enumerating the root causes of teenage pregnancy. So at this point, we still have one last question, but I think your state from Idol Ken of Bicol, as far as Bicol, we have friends from the media from Bicol. So as of now, as a last statement, I think his question will be answered with your last statements. I'd like to call on our panelists to give their final statements. We'd like to call on first, may I call on Kojo Loco, Mr. Kojo Loco, to give his final statements. I know it's 2:30 a.m. In your time zone, Kojo.
No problem
So
at
thank you
all.
very much for
Yeah.
staying on.
Yeah, that's all right. So my final statement is that we're encouraged by what we're seeing through the engagement to date, and then with the launch and the statement from the city um, um, leaders. From us at TCI, we have experience with first-time parents in terms of trying to address teenage pregnancy as well, in terms of teenagers that get pregnant early. And so that's one highlight of our program, and getting them onto long-acting reversible contraceptives. And then we also have strong experience in supporting the decentralized health system and quality improvements in facilities, in bringing community level support with strong youth engagement. So I just wanted to highlight these. And I like the fact that one of the lady from the local government did mention the role of the community. So yes, we can do it just with the political leadership. The community support as well as youth engagement is one of the approaches that we use in this program. And we look forward to working with the cities and with the press and everybody in this space. And thank you for listening to us, and please spread the word, and let's encourage more cities to join the TCI approach in the Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you very much, the Executive Director of TCI, Mr. Kojo Loco, from another time zone. Thank you very much. So at this point, we'd like to call on the Zwillig Family Foundation President, Mr. Ernesto Garilao, to give his final statements as we wrap up this virtual presser.
Thank you. I think with reference to this program, we're not really starting from scratch. No, I think we have access to information on past ASRH programs in the Philippines and family planning in the Philippines, and what worked, what didn't work, what lessons are learned. We also have access to to the TCI Global Hub experiences in doing the same thing, and I think we get those learnings, we get those strategic interventions, and how is that applied in the Philippines, so that truly uh, uh, the program really makes a difference in the in ASRH, and I think that is the challenge of the Philippine Hub. What will make this different from the previous programs coming out? Different in terms of the intervention, and also different in terms of the results. And that's why I asked the media, come back after 1 year and ask us, oh, what were the results. I think that would be the challenge for us. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Garilao, let's have a press conference, virtual presser also after a year to demonstrate how TCI worked in the Philippine Hub. So we'd like to call on now the Executive Director and Head of the Commission on Population and Development. Please welcome Dr. Juan Antonio Perez III.
Thank you, Mai, and to all my co-panelists and to the media. Um, in just to try to respond a bit to Ken, Idol Ken's question, why are we still having this problem? I think one major issue that we are trying to address here in TCI is the access of adolescents, both to information and to services. Um, while information may be available to them, it comes in through unfiltered methods. We still do not have um, widespread comprehensive sexuality education in schools and in communities. And there is also a problem of adolescents having difficult access to services. That was pointed out by Mayor Moreno. Mayor Moreno also pointed out an important factor why city mayors are important. No? Uh, young people come to cities for education and for services. And by because of the guidelines in the health system, adolescents giving birth have to give birth in hospitals that are located in cities. So you may have a phenomenon of cities having higher rates of adolescent birth simply because people from all over the place come uh, to them for services. That's why it's very important to get mayors engaged and involved because the impact of the program is even beyond the city. It reaches out to the rural areas where you see very much such still high rates of adolescent pregnancy. And finally, as my closing statement, particularly to the cities that have not yet joined, and I saw a question from Santiago City, Isabela, how can we join? So it's an example of this already eliciting interest. So I think the simple answer is the mayor of one city has to express interest. And that can be done directly here to POPCOM or through our regional offices of POPCOM in your regions. And please express your interest. We intend to have a more detailed orientation on TCI uh, after this. And we will reach out probably to all the 45 cities that have joined this meeting today, and even municipalities that are urbanizing that want to address the problem. This program is open to all local chief executives who want to make a difference in in the health of their adolescents and their welfare. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yusek Perez. So at this point, I'd like to call on from Cagayan de Oro City to give his final statements. Please welcome Honorable Mayor Oscar Moreno.
Yeah, again, thank you very much, no, to everyone, and at least we are getting a very high sense of comfort and confidence that we have this group to help us as we navigate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mayor. We'd like to move on to Puerto Princesa City, Mayor Lucilo Bayron, for your final statements.
Thank you, ma'am. Actually, hindi po ako si Mayor.
The representative of Mayor Byron.
Yes,
Please tell us your name, sir, so that everyone can also get to know you.
I'm Dr. Ricardo Panganiban. I'm the City Health Officer of Puerto Princesa City. So in
Hello,
behalf
sir.
of Mayor Byron, we would like to thank all of us here for choosing Puerto Princesa as one of the TCI cities. Uh, we will give our full support to this project. So thank you very much and good morning, everyone.
Thank you to the City Health Office and the City Health Officer of Puerto Princesa City. We'd like to call on, last but not the least, the Mayor of Dipolog City, Honorable Daryl Dexter Oy, to give his final statements.
Thank you, Mai, and would like to thank Commission on Population, Department of Health, Swilig Family Foundation, TCI in Johns Hopkins University, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And I would like to also congratulate my fellow mayors, Mayor Costa Moreno and Mayor Byron of Puerto Princesa. And rest assured, we will do our best to gain more innovative challenges and ideas for our city. So I would like to thank everyone for this program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, from the lifelong learning motto of Mayor Dexter Uy. And on behalf of the Swellig Family Foundation and the Commission on Population and Development, the Bill and Melinda Gates Institute, and of course, thank you very much, everyone. And have a pleasant morning. Mabuhay sa ating lahat. Magandang umaga. Please share it on Facebook, Twitter, and the recording will be available also on our official Facebook corporate pages. And thank you very much again. Mabuhay! Thank you very much, the Challenge Initiative,
Thank
for
you all.
all your
And
support.
thank you, Mai, for excellent facilitation, and also to Raymond. Yeah.
Thank you, Sir
Thank you,
Oying.
Raymond. Long time no see.
Marami pong salamat.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
very much to all our
Ojo.
Popcom Board
Thank
of
you, sir. Long time no
Commissioners.
see.
Bye!
Take care.